Hello and welcome back. This is Greg Davis of D3 Energy, the founder of D3 Energy, and welcome back to the D3 Energy live stream. Again, this is where we talk about conventional oil and gas and its resurgence into the oil and gas industry today. I appreciate you coming to spend a little bit of time with me today. So I wanted to talk to you today about the resilience and fortitude and conviction of the men and women, the professionals in our oil and gas industry. And again, as I've said before, it's these professionals that have been in the business for decades, many of them for 40, 50 years, that will be carrying the load of this conventional oil and gas resurgence. And I was struck today. I had a meeting with a couple of young gentlemen, 21 and 22, that are pursuing their career in the oil and gas industry. And it was so refreshing to see a couple young men who are coming into the business at this time, and the gumption and the excitement that they had was remarkable, and it was refreshing. It reminded me of when I was young, and I had the great fortune, my father, who again was a very forceful, impactful guy, who told me at the age of 13 that I was going to go to work. And he took me to the office, and there at the age of 13 I got to train with him and all the great professionals. And I just remember just how wonderful and how passionate my father was, and these men and women who worked for him in the business, about what they were doing. And I learned about the notion of oil runs in our blood. And what does that mean? That means once you catch the oil and gas bug and you're in the business and you've been in it long enough, oil runs in our veins. And it's true. Oil runs in the veins of the men and women in our oil and gas industry. And no more so than the men and women who have been carrying on this legacy of the conventional oil and gas. And getting to spend time with these young men, it was so wonderful. And I got the pleasure of imparting some of what I know and the experience, and they were so hungry and eating it up, and it was just fabulous. And I'm so excited for them to be getting into the business. And anybody who is looking at getting into our business today, I can only say one thing: do it. Do it. Yes, oil prices are down now, and it may be a little bit scary, uncertainty, especially for the young men and women who have entered college and are studying engineering and geology now and energy finance. It may be a little bit unnerving that oil prices have dropped, especially if they've dropped during the time that they have been in school. Well, the truth of the matter is, I know since I've been in the business since the late 70s, and many of the men and women that I know and the professionals that I get to work with, many of them have been in the business 30, 40, 50 years. They have been through these cycles. They have been through multiple ups and downs. And the remarkable thing is the fact that even though they've been through these multiple ups and downs, and I know I've seen 10 of them, they stay in it. I've stayed in it. They stay in it. They're in it because oil runs in their blood. They love the business, and it's hard to explain. And I'm sure there are many other industries that there are professionals that stick in it through thick and thin, no matter what happens, no matter the ups and downs, the cycles, the layoffs, you know, the good times, the bad times. That is exactly what the professionals in our industry have in them. This gumption, this stick-to-itness, this fortitude, this conviction, this belief, and this knowing that even though when times get tough, the business will be there and the business bounces back. And it always does. It always does. And right now it's a challenging time. Prices are down, especially from 2013 and 14 when oil prices were up at $90, $100, $110 a barrel. Now it's at, I think today it's at like $47, $48 a barrel. I haven't looked because one of the things I try not to do is pay a lot of attention to the day-to-day. The only thing I know is that oil prices are going to fluctuate. They're going to go up. They're going to go down. But the professionals are so resilient, and that's what's so great. And you ask them, why do they stay in it? Because many of them have weathered these downturns, and they know that it's going to be okay. And they know that the business is going to adopt, or adapt, if you will. Adopt new technology, adopt new techniques, but adapt to the lower prices and finding ways to be innovative and make money at these prices. And that's what's happening today. That's why many companies are returning to conventional oil and gas, because with lower oil prices, conventional tends to be cheaper. It is cheaper, less expensive to harvest. And again, there's still so much oil and gas remaining. And one of the things that I wanted to point out is that still a majority of the oil and gas is in the United States is produced out of conventional oil and gas, and a lot of that was found before the revolution of shale. And then in 2005 we had the advent of horizontal drilling and hydraulic fracturing, and thus you had a lot of the oil companies move away from conventional to unconventional resource shale development. And that's where a majority of the capital has gone, and that's where a majority of the activity is. And the professionals that have been in, that were in and are still in the conventional oil and gas side of the industry have weathered this storm. And since 2005, with activity dropping, many of the men and women that I know who are still sticking to this belief that conventional oil and gas is still a great place to explore for and find and go back and rejuvenate old fields, they're hanging on to that belief. And it's been tough times. It's been 7-8 years that the industry moved away from the conventional, has been focused predominantly on unconventional. But now it's starting to come back. But I was struck by just recently going to something that we have in our industry, many of you know who are in the business, called NAPE, which is the North American Prospect Expo. And they have them twice a year, and recently we had the summer NAPE. And when I was there, I walked around, and there you will see, and there I saw many of the same men and women who have been pitching the conventional oil and gas projects that they have. And they keep coming and they keep coming, and they're still there. And you ask any of them, why are you still here? Why do you stick to it? It's like, what else would I do? It's in my blood. And these men and women have been hanging on to this belief, to this knowing that at some point the industry will shift. What that would be, what are the facts for that shift? Was it lower prices, or that there would be a scarcity of really good areas and unconventional go to? Many of them don't know, but now conventional oil and gas is coming back. And all those men and women who stuck to it who have waited, who have showed up year after year to the NAPES where they show their same projects, great projects, projects that in the heyday would have never been shown at a convention for fear that somebody might take that idea. But these are great projects where literally, as my father would say, it's so good there's oil coming out of the map. Great projects. And these men and women who have stuck to it, to the conventional oil and gas side of our business, are going to be rewarded now. Because, as I have been discussing, there is a shift, a paradigm shift happening now, where oil and gas companies are coming back or going back to conventional. And again, it's going to be on the backs of the men and women, the professionals who still know how to tap the conventional resources, who still have the projects, who know where that oil is remaining, that natural gas is remaining in the older fields and the older trends that people thought were tapped out. They are going to be the ones that bring about this revolution, because the knowledge that they have is unique, and it's them that will be carrying the load, if you will. And it's them, the men and women, the professionals, the men and women who have oil running in their blood, who have stuck to it, who haven't quit, who haven't, been so upset by this last downturn that they said it's time to go. No. They haven't gone, and they're not leaving, and they're still here. We're all still here. And it's an exciting time. But as I started out by saying, the resilience, the fortitude, the stick-to-itness, the vigilance of these men and women who, no matter what, no matter how bad things get, or how good it gets, we don't get too excited about the high times, and we don't get too down before the low times. It's they who will be carrying us into this new paradigm and back to conventional oil and gas. So, that's what I had to say today. I wanted to do a big send-up of the great professionals that I have the great pleasure of working with, the ones that I've had the great pleasure of working with, and many of you professionals who may be watching right now. I'm talking about you, and you know the people that I'm talking about. And our industry is resilient, and the professionals are resilient, and it's very exciting to be a part of this paradigm shift that is happening now, back to conventional. So, with that, I want to say thank you for spending a little time with me today, and I appreciate you sharing these videos, if you will, with your friends, and to help me and to help D3 and to help all the other professional men and women who are in the conventional oil and gas space to help bring about this shift, this resurgence into conventional oil and gas. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.